5, 2019, and we're having a bit of market turmoil. Stock markets are down, and we talked about this over the last few days, both in the S&P and in the DAX. And I hope you guys have been able to capitalize on that. So that's what we're going to talk about this morning. If you are new to this market update, my name is Alejandro Zambrano, and I'm the chief market strategist of ATFX and also the managing director of investingcube.com. If you are interested in my views, then don't forget to actually subscribe to my handle. Actually, you can't necessarily subscribe to it, but you can bookmark it, and it gives you all my different updates. Today I did an update on the DAX and the Nasdaq already. Yesterday we talked about Ethereum. They had a big slide, so we're going to talk a bit about that as well. And of course, we're going to talk about all the other markets as well, currency pairs, which is sort of the bread and butter, or what I usually trade. Actually, I trade everything nowadays, but started out with Forex. So there you go. Please follow that. And as well, before I forget, we are on Telegram, an amazing little application that allows you to receive updates as we publish articles. And then we are as well on Twitter, that also allows you to add notifications. But it's a bit different because with Telegram you can actually watch the presentation. You can actually read the articles without leaving the app. Okay, we're going to get going then, and we're going to talk about, let's talk about the DAX, and then we're going to talk a bit about the other markets. So the German DAX looks like this. So what happened here, that the German DAX was trading within a nice little range. On Friday, we had some bad numbers coming up from Germany and from the EU, telling us that the European economy as a whole is slipping into coming really, really close to a recession. And as well, last week, you might remember that Mario Draghi was talking about it and telling us, again, the leading economic indicators are telling us that the outlook does not look very good. That's obviously, of course, why they cut interest rates and do quantitative easing. If they didn't believe the thing was bad, they wouldn't have been doing all of that. However, the stock markets, they look at it from a different perspective. They said, oh, look, they're cutting interest rates. Interest rates are going down. It's cheaper to borrow money and things like that. And that props up the stock market, which is fine. However, traditionally, the central bankers have never been able to soft engineer a very good landing. If you are going to have a recession or economic slowdown, it sort of tends to happen because the central banks move after the fact most of the time and not before. So what happened here eventually is that the market tried to go down, didn't really manage, then all the way up, and then went all the way down here as the US stock markets declined as well. Now the technical trend here remains bearish. One could have shorted on the break on Monday, alternatively yesterday evening, if not that, on the corrective move overnight in the Asian session. So we had 3 opportunities to short sell here, and I think the 2 last ones would have been the best. Here with a 40 US stop loss just above the high from September 23rd, which is the high from 2 days ago. It's not the 23rd high because it's up here. It's a high from within the evening of that day. Going forward, shorting down here is not a good opportunity. Again, if it goes up to the breakup point, I think that could be something. You might even see people trying to short already at 12,245. As for the S&P 500, we also had a nice little break here, a nice little rectangle. The difference between high and low is 45.9 points, and it's a neutral pattern. It might go up and it might go down. Just happened to be that the market slid. One of the reasons for that is that the Democrats in the US are pushing for an impeachment of President Trump. Apparently, he tried to influence the Ukrainian president to investigate Joe Biden's son's dealings in Ukraine. Joe Biden, as you know, he is one of the front runners, or is one of the 2 guys that probably gonna challenge President Trump for the election coming up in 2020. So that obviously is some sort of interference, and that's what they want to investigate. But it's not just that. People are talking a lot about the fact that yesterday at the UN speech, President Trump did not speak about the trade deal, that's the potential trade talks between US and China in a good way that supports confidence into the markets. and that all sort of came down tumbling, and you got that break to the downside. Then you had a retest. We're not that far from that levels again, which is about 2973.4. And I reckon if we go up close to these levels, people will try to short sell here. And here, because the last major high is up here, the bearish trend is going to be bearish below 3007. Yesterday I did cover the Nasdaq 100, and the Nasdaq 100 was also sort of creating a nice little pattern, as you can see here, and the price was already on its way lower, and it suggests we can go down further. In today's update, I also pinpoint head and shoulders pattern, head, left, and right shoulders pattern, and that gives us a target pretty much around the September 2nd low again. If you want to read more on that, I suggest you just follow the link that goes to my profile page, bookmark that one, and then what you can do there is just read the latest one, because it's the Nasdaq 100, which I did the update on. As for other markets, well, gold prices are not really up too much. They haven't necessarily reacted too much on the news on the slide in the markets today, but yesterday they did react. The market, as you can see here, bounced from this level, sorry, around 3 p.m. the market bounced, and it's looking rather good now. We're still dealing with this triangle pattern, and that triangle pattern had a breakout already on the 20th, and you have a target of 1544. I still think that can happen, and I think if the market would decline down to something like this low down here, which is the 15.92 level, then people could buy. If you're still holding on to this buy opportunity we shared with you guys in the beginning of September at 14.19, that's good stuff. Congratulations. I think the way things are looking, stock markets, the DAX and the Nasdaq are going to correct a bit as the US markets open. That's going to go down a bit. But because of the patterns in the other markets, I think we can have another little boost here. So hopefully gold may actually reach 1544, and then maybe from those levels you might see some profit taking. As for currency markets, I do like this. So this is the pound versus the USD, and it's looking interesting. And what's interesting here with this one is that yesterday I had a trend funding level at 1250, 123.50, 123.86. Now my trend funding level is at 24, so I pushed this up a bit. Also, we have an interesting pattern here, which is the head and shoulders pattern, which is head, left, and right shoulder. So on a break to that neckline here, it does suggest that we could potentially trade lower. Difference between the high and the low here is right now about 179 pips. So if we do have a break to that level here, it does suggest we can go down to these levels here. What's also interesting, of course, with the GBP/USD, that it's also a good little spot to anticipate a reversal. It's quite clear if you look at it from, say, a weekly chart, that you have lower and lower highs. We now reach that sell zone here where the market should look to roll over, and we're having interesting reaction here where the short-term trend is trying to flip and turn bearish. So it's going to be interesting next few days here in GBP. As for the euro versus the dollar, the last good setups that sort of got triggered was to sell up here, and the idea was for this market to go down. I haven't changed that outlook and have not necessarily changed too much where I think one can resell again. That level remains 110.51 now, from being around 110.70 a few days ago. It's now down here, and the markets are struggling a bit. I think there's not like a clear-cut case here to be really bearish the euro, and as I've been mentioning in the past, there is slightly a different take on this, which is to look at it from a bigger perspective and looking at it from a pitchfork perspective. From the pitchfork perspective, we're still exactly at the median line. The pitchfork is drawn by taking using the August 2018 low and the September high from last year. You draw that, and then you just need to pull a little bit here to sort of figure out the midpoint. And you can see that this formation has a ton of touch points, and it's acted really well, suggesting the bounces here and the sell-offs from here. And in fact, it did very good for most of 2018. 2019. And what it does suggest to us is that people are not really interested to sell here because it's neither a very good level to buy and it's not a very good level to sell. Right now, the next sort of interesting sell level is up here at around 111.72. That's where we find that upper downward sloping trend line, the blue one. And if that doesn't hold, of course we can go higher. But I reckon if we do swing all the way up to 111.77, that people will sell. At the same time, we are not very close to support, so people do not necessarily want to buy. If anything, as well, you would be buying in a downtrend, which is usually not a good idea. That's why it's just a bit difficult to trade. I think that's the reason why the Euro USD is a bit difficult to trade. We're not going to cover the Aussie, but we are going to cover Brent crude oil prices. So this is Brent crude oil prices, and the market, apparently there's news coming out that Saudi Arabia has restored even more of their crude oil production. But what actually triggered this bearish move here is, unfortunately, or not unfortunately, but it's actually the slide in stock markets. Because when markets are worried about the future, the economic situation, then that tends to influence crude oil prices as well. Because obviously people use crude oil to fuel their factories, build cars, clothes, bunch of different things, plastic bags. So lower economic growth lowers the demand, and that causes the market to go down. Now, you might remember I had a line here. I said below 63.09, the trend is the trend is bearish. Above it is bullish. Now you can clearly see, unfortunately, it's turned bearish. Now I think we can lower the trend funding level a tiny bit to these levels here, but I would still ignore this one because unfortunately it's like a headline or two away from being up a lot or being down a lot. You can have an attack, you can have President Trump saying something, you got OPEC saying something. There's a bunch of different things here that could influence the market, but it is short-term bearish. And again, if one had to short or trade this, I think it might bounce to maybe 63.21, and if it does, I think people might sell here, and they're going to try to push prices lower. This is the closing price on Friday before the attacks on the Saudi crude oil production facilities, and it looks like we're so close to these levels now. So I reckon that people will try to test this. They're going to try to sell just to close the gap, and then after that, unfortunately, the way this is looking now, it's going to fizzle out. It's just going to be more sideways for longer, and that's it. Not very happy ending here if you're a trader. Okay, I think we covered all the markets. Did that quite quickly as well in 13 minutes. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, just put them in the chat box. See if I can help out. I don't have answers to everything. Bear that in mind, but I'll try to do my best. So we have Karamarat. Good morning to you, sir. And we have Marvin as well. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. And anybody else that is watching, we're doing it at a different time today, at 11 p.m. I'll probably be back tomorrow, same time. But we're just experimenting a bit, trying different times and things like that, and see what works better for everyone. Okay, it looks like we have no questions. We're gonna wrap things up. Don't forget to again keep track of us. There's gonna be more content from me on those different channels as well. You can reach me on Twitter. This is my handle. Let's see if I can send that to you as well. Today at 1:20 I'm gonna be on TRT World, which is the Turkish TV channel. So I'm gonna be on that today on the news bit. So you're most welcome to check that out. It should be live. You should actually just be able to click here and watch that live at 1:30 p.m. 1:20 p.m. London time. Okay, guys. Want to thank you for joining. If you have any questions for me, you're most welcome to reach out to me. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you, and bye.